Microphone? Uh, yeah, that's okay. Live 18. This is Raft session 26. Okay, all good. So we're live, camera is not freezing, and mic is on levels. Alright, yeah, I'm back after a bit of time away, I guess. I inadvertently took a bunch of time off. Trying to sort of, for fuck's sake, I forgot to turn the laptop on in the wall. Every fucking time this keeps happening, and I can't teach myself to just just keep the charger, keep the mains on. And I can't reach it as well. There's no way I can reach any of the plugs from my beds. All of them are at least 2 meters away. So I have to get up and move it. Well, wunderbar. Getting up means there's a risk of the internet just completely cutting out, which is also fun, but has to be done. Okay, let's go. I'll be back in 1 minute. Having to redo your entire stream setup, them ones. Every fucking time. Yeah. Okay, well, 3 minutes in, after a bunch of fuck all, we're ready to go. So, once again, charger is now fucking on. Live, camera, mic. Okay. Sorry about that. I can't help but get frustrated because it just seems slightly disproportionate that something in life like that requires you to check about 15 things before you can do something. And, if you're checking 15 things, one of them is guaranteed to go wrong. Am I supposed to get a list, do you think? Because I always get the same one wrong as well. It's always the charger that doesn't get plugged in. Everything else is kind of physically visible, and so it's not such a problem. Well, that's put me in a bad mood. What can I say? Something like that's put me in a bad mood. That's not a good start. Generally speaking, yeah, I'm a bit tired at the moment. I'm not, even today, I think I'm not gonna challenge myself to do anything too difficult on stream. Obviously, there is a bunch of hard shit ahead, but it's kind of, yeah, it's the final few tests that need to be passed for me to be finished with the entirety of the Raft project. It's the final debug. And so it's like, yeah, sit down and push through some of these tests. Do the usual debug routine. Do the test, read through the log, all the print debugging, figure out what's going wrong. So that's cool. But I'm definitely feeling like not doing too much of that today. If there's time, I'll still do it. But um, for the most part, I don't want to be working on that kind of stuff today. I want to just be doing some of the other stuff I have. So I'm basically shying away from work, or at least I'm shying away from the hard work because I'm feeling slightly tired. It's not just actually just today. It's more like kind of I've had a difficult week of lots of non-stream stuff. So I've been doing um, had a bunch of meetups again. I turned level 40 in Pokemon Go, and I have like some job stuff to worry about, some house stuff to worry about, camera, mic, live, and yeah, it's just that kind of real life stuff that gets in the way sometimes. I mean, it's okay. I did a bit less. I managed to get around to doing less work, and so it's gonna continue to be like that. That's the thing. Camera, mic. Yeah, I just I budged my head to the top of the screen, the top of the visible camera, so that I can slide down gradually with my arse and still be in shot without having to readjust. Um, and so yeah, I mean, last night I wasn't even really feeling the headspace of I want to do this really difficult debug today. There's gonna be a few hardcore debugs left to do, some weird shit, you know, the real weird shit. But yeah, I'll just leave it till the day I'm feeling better, and hope to get the momentum going again because I haven't been able to stream for a few days now. I tried to go after I turned level 40, but was just too sort of hyped from that. And then yesterday I was, oh yeah, it was my mum's birthday, right? That kind of stuff. I have another birthday on like Friday tomorrow, and then another meetup on Sunday. So just a lot of stuff happening at the moment means it's difficult to get into that kind of sound routine where you're motivated to keep literally sending your head through a wall, which is what debugging this kind of thing is like, until it cracks. I mean, the wall has been giving away steadily, and there's just a bit more wall left, so it's all good. But yeah, today, I have until house, which is 2 p.m. as usual. So that gives me an hour and a half. You can see my local time down here. Um, and so I'm gonna do, I've said ting below. I've said like um, I'm gonna be stress testing, right? So my idea here is to try to do automated testing so that I can have kind of okay, these tests pass this much percent of the time, you know, that kind of thing. And then, if I'll look into that because that's something I've been meaning to look into, and I've been meaning to do that on the stream as well. And if we get around to finishing that, then I guess I'll take a crack at the last three tests. So, for reference, right, I've done the whole project, coding wise, but not finished because there are bugs. There be bugs, and there are three parts, and part A has two tests, part B has seven tests, and part C has eight tests. And that's despite the fact that Part C requires absolutely minimal implementation. It's just mostly testing everything else, like testing it hardcore. Um, and so I'm passing the two Part A's, the seven Part B's, those nine, and the first five Part C's. So that adds up to 14 out of 17, right? 2 plus 8. Sorry, 2 plus 7 is 9, plus 8 is 17. And the last three are the ones that are not passing, or at least not necessarily passing. I only know the first of those three isn't passing because I didn't bother skipping ahead to check if the next one would. Yeah. So basically, those are what we're going to be debugging. But all the other tests, most of them pass 100% of the time, but there are a few that have sort of 90% reliability. It's like part B tests 2, 3, and 6, which test, I don't know, some stuff. They fail in kind of suspicious circumstances. You get apply errors along the lines of like, oh, these two servers, they finished, but they gave, they sent the wrong answer into, they committed different things, which is not supposed to ever happen. And so some of these errors are quite suspicious. But likewise, these last 3 tests are reliably throwing errors, whereas these tests are only 10% of the time at most throwing errors. And so I wanted to cover those with a stress test, which is I print debug 100 tests and only save output for the ones that fail, so I can find those errors. And when I'm feeling more up to it, I'm going to sit down and test out like test 6, 7, and 8 of part C, the last 3 tests, and just go through those and debug them. So yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, there's nothing much else to say other than Mike. Nothing much else to say other than, yeah, I wanna see if I can implement the stress test. So I'm gonna do some googling, and this is gonna be my morning pretty much. Yep. Okay. Let's see. What are we googling today? Golang. Or, well, I mean, I already have automatic tests, right? Automated tests, but I have to run them all manually. So I want to automate the running of the already automated test. That's what I want to do? Yeah, I think so. So it's like Golang automate its testing. Automate repeat testing. I don't know if this will tell us something. Let's go with this. This kind of seems promising. Advanced testing in Go, because in the blurb here it says something about repeat yourself. So hopefully it'll give me some methods for doing that. HashiCorp, lol. Oh, because it's Hashimoto and it's Hashigas. So uninspired as fuck name. What was that? That was a fly. Ooh. Okay, so let's see. What we want is repetition. That's all I care about. This doesn't cover what I wanted to cover. I need to run the same tests over and over again. I mean, let's not Google too much. This is something that should really just be done via a shell script, shouldn't it? It's like, because I'm running the same command 100 times and saving output only when necessary. It's like, yeah, this stuff should be. This is some unsaved file. Don't watch that. Yeah, it should just be along the lines of, do a shell script to run this command however many times and log output when it fails, and output some information. So I mean, I don't know how to write things in Bash, so this is going to be slightly high effort, but I think it'll be worth it. If we have a standardized stress tester going, then that's going to be pretty cool. I think that's going to be pretty useful. Yeah, I think that's okay. Because then I can run it in the background and I can run it while I'm not working as well. So I can have a lot of failures, but I only need to find like individual examples of failure here and there to be able to debug from them if I have them logged. So, yeah, that's the idea. That's what we're gonna do. Let's give it a shot. So, first of all, just make a file. It's going to be a new shell script, much like init.sh. It's going to be called debug.sh. It's not going to be in this folder at all. It's going to be in this folder. Cool. So, well, I'm going to Google my way through typing a bash script because, of course, bash run test repeatedly. Yeah, something along these lines. For running this many do command done. Looks good. Seems good. Let's copy that straight in. So this is bash, apparently. This is what the syntax looks like. Who knows? This is not such a problem because no, to be honest, why wouldn't I just do this? This is actually just more natural. N is, I'm happy for N to be the variable. Is that how have I spelled that correctly? There seems to be 2 brackets here. This seems like it might be a typo. Oh, it's not a typo. Yeah, no, it is a typo. Like he's just, A has forgotten this bracket as well as this bracket. So this looks good. Okay. All right. So for that, do command done. So the command is going to be like, should we do an individual test over and over again? For simplicity, let's do that for the time being. So it's going to be like go test run. Something like one of the ones that I know fails occasionally is to 2b2. Alright, but the problem with this is that, it has output. And we need to read the output and see if the test fails or not. So we need to be able to, I guess, read the output of this, but is it do we read the console output, like the standard output? Or do we kind of have a way of getting this to return stuff? Perhaps Googling how go test command documentation. Like maybe this will have some information about, if we can get output from this, that would be good. So. Yep, okay, it prints a summary of results. All test output and summary lines are printed to standard output, even if the test printed to standard error. Yep, fine. Alright, so let's have a look. Here we have sort of which tests it's being called on, which is not the problem that we have. I don't particularly care about the cache. Cache should definitely just be disabled. Maybe I should put this in. Let's have a look. So this is like, the same test binary and the flags on the command line come entirely from the same cacheable test flags. If a run of a Go test has any test or non-test flags, the result is not cached. Oh, maybe my minus run thing. Minus run is a flag that I always use. But that's in the cacheable test flags. Maybe I should just put this in final tests to make sure that it doesn't ever cache the results. Something like that, I don't know. Okay, that's well, I say it's a minor thing. It's something I don't want to think about now, to be honest. It's just kind of... The thing about testing is, it prints results to various locations, but I don't have a way of reading the result. Because I can print the result to, like, a file, which I can literally name it like this. I can say, okay, I'm going to output this to a file that's going to be stored in a folder called results, and the name of the folder is going to be like $N, put that in quotes maybe, and then like 2b2.txt. I think that works. Should we just see if this works? Okay, what this does, right? The situation that we have here is we just run the test like 10 times. And, each one of those 10 times gets saved in this folder, and then we have 10 text files we can just browse at leisure, sort of. That's not ideal because I want to keep only the ones that fail, but it's a start. So let's just see if this works. Okay, so for starters, let me just quickly check that my debug flag is on. Oh, and I need to run, by the way. Oh no, I don't. Sorry, I'm gonna run init anyway. So yeah, what was I just saying just now? Like, I want to look at the source codes. Yeah, I just want to check that my debugs are on. I want to debug. Let's say I want to debug everything because hopefully I've removed all of the Q print statements from test. Let me just test that. So if I look up Q, oh, Q is still there for this test. Okay. Yep. Okay. Points. No, but I'm happy for that to stay there. To be honest, to be perfectly honest, I'm happy for that to stay there. Okay, so yeah, all the debugging print statements are on, all of them, and so it's just like, okay, does this file do what I want it to do? Let's find out. So first I initialize the session as usual, and then I try to run debug.sh. Okay, well that's immediately not worked. I'm in the ds folder. I'm running I'm running .init.sa. Oh, because it's moved me into the Raft folder, sorry. Do I care? Yeah, I'm gonna just run the test. I might move it, but for the time being I'm just gonna run it by doing this. So back out 2 folders and then run debug.sh. So it's saying no such file or directory, so I have to... Okay, so you can see that the files are getting named correctly. Or rather, I'd actually prefer them to be named like this, but as in my syntax is correct. I'd rather it be the test name and then the instance. But it says no such file or directory, which is funny because all I'm doing is outputting. I think the problem is that the results folder doesn't exist, so let's make that. Of course, that didn't get put in the right place. Fixed. And yeah, to be honest, so I don't have to type that double dot twice, I'm just going to put this in here. So I have debug.sh. So let's try running that again. Oh yeah, now I have to change this to... Yeah. Okay. Alright, it's working, I think. So after however much time this takes, I'm going to run this in like background consoles, separate threads and things, possibly just while I'm doing something else. I'll run this iterated debugging. But the problem is, if the test passes, I don't want to keep the results, so I need to find a way of deleting those files, / just not storing them. I think there is a way of doing that. For example, I could grep for fail. So grep is something that searches line by line to match words in a text file. So I could just, look for the ones that have fail in them, match fail, and then save those. So, okay, I think this has worked, more or less. Yeah, so, okay, I'm not sure about the line ending convention, which is just totally incorrect. It's supposed to be saving as CRLF, which it doesn't seem to be able to do. Oh, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I can just browse test output from within VS Code, surely. Where is it? Here. So like, yeah. See, this is basically doing what I wanted it to do. So if I scroll to the end, I get, pass. If I hold Control FN ends, I get pass, 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 pass. Pass. Are these different? Like the tests are, you can see 30 lines, 813 lines. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the tests are legitimately being run repeatedly. So see, we just passed 10 tests in a row. It didn't take me that long to browse this, but it's still, I mean, this is not conducive to automated testing to have to manually browse 10 files. So I probably should have shift deleted those. So what we're going to do instead is try to grep the ones that... Oh shit, I shouldn't have deleted all of them because, okay, I'm an idiot, sorry. Okay, let me just run one test. Just to demonstrate something. So basically, here's the test. This file, let me try to do some command line stuff on it. So for starters, if we Control F for fail, it says no results. If we Control F for pass, we get results, right? If I just run a test, let me also demonstrate something else. If I just run a test like this and then like manually abort it, it says fail, see, in like big letters. The same way it says pass and then okay, here it says fail. So here I can Control F, I can look up fail. Live camera mic. Yep. So yeah, I can grep fail and I can grep pass. Basically, that's what I'm saying. So let me show you guys what I mean by that. So this is just a Linux tool that makes it easy to basically find words in files. So it gives you, you can find lines. Basically, what I want to do in general terms is, search through this file, and depending on if it contains fail, I want to save it. If it contains pass, I don't want to save it. But I do want to log the number of passes. So I'm gonna have a few if statements. Alright, so basically this is the file. Whoops, let me just copy that correctly. So this is the file, from here if I type this it'll what's happened? Oh, n got set to 1, begin. Okay, sorry. So if I look up this file, you see it just logs it onto, I don't know, it just logs like the head of the file, I guess. It just says like, oh, okay, no, it tries to execute the file as a shell script. Fine. Well, what we care about is the text content of this file rather than it being a shell script. So what we need to do is sort of, let me try running grep. Grep, file name, pass. Look at this. No such file or directory, pass. Okay, so I think I have the syntax the wrong way around. So grep, pass in this file. Pass. Grep, fail in this file. Not found. Right, so basically what this does is it digs up the lines and prints them where this word comes up. And it's matched by regular expression, but that's not so important because I'm just using the word pass. So text match, any match will do the same thing. But yeah, it prints the entire line containing pass, which is just this line because it doesn't. There's nothing else. So if you want, I can demonstrate that by going grep. Fucking hell, Visual Studio Code. Yeah, if it's made in Chromium, then there is a good, it can just randomly freeze because the JavaScript engine gets backlogged or whatever. So if I grep the word raft, it prints the line, OK raft 3.889 seconds. So that's what grep does. It's pretty clear. So I want to grep pass and grep fail, but the thing is I want to use those more as kind of if statements. So I want to sorry, I'm getting slightly distracted by my mum again. She's just moving about for no reason. Live, camera, mic. And yeah, I feel like my camera's gone a bit smudgy, so I'll just take a 5-minute break to sort that out. I don't know what's been going on with this camera. It just goes out of focus so easily nowadays. I mean, it's not like it's that easy to even focus it well. I usually use my eyes to focus, but maybe I should use like my stubble or something. Should make it a bit easier. Live. Okay, so that's the camera and that's the mic. Yeah, so I don't want to output all the lines. So I don't want to just filter the text, which is what grep is for. It filters line by matching words. What I want to do is have a kind of, is this word found in this file? If so, do this. If not, do something else. So actually, maybe rather than using grep, let me just straight up Google how to do that in Bash. Seems legit. Bash if words in file. This is pretty much what I want to do. How to test if string exists in file with Bash. So we have some greps. Sick. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So it's the same as a grep, but it has this flag that I think says, you have exit statuses. Oh wait, no. I'm not even. This flag is not even the point. So this is saying, okay. Yeah, so the flag is not even important. The point is if statement. If you look at like the output of this command, it writes the standard output, but not only that, it actually does have exit statuses, so it does have proper return values that allow us to condition on them. So that's what I'm looking for. Do not write anything to standard output is pretty reasonable because I'm just doing grep as a kind of test. And yeah, okay, here I have match whole line and match fixed strings. That's not so important. I don't actually need those. So yeah, basically this is what I want to do. Grep q, I add the quietness flag so it doesn't print anything, but then I just use that as an if statement in my bash code. Basically this. It's pretty simple, isn't it? If you think about it. So need ya. So here is the if statement. Do if the wait, do I need do? Oh yeah, do is part of the damn for loop, isn't it? Sorry. I have no idea about this syntax, it's just so strange. So this is it, grep q, this is the file name. Oh, actually, I don't even need to save to file unless something goes wrong, do I? No, I don't. So let me just do it like this then. So I grep q the file name, which is output by this thing. I should be using variables. Let's face it. Bash variable. So I just want to define a simple variable in Bash. Pretty easy. What the hell does CP do? Does it even say here what CP does? I just want to define variables. This is not helping. I need something a lot simpler than that, so this should do it. Yeah, so just type this equals this and then get the variable using the $sign. I think that's simple enough. So we do by saying output equals the result of this shit. Pretty sure that should work. If grep q outputs, and we need to access that using the $, right? If that returns true, then code if found, code if not found. So code if found, I'm using 2-space tabbing convention for whatever reason. Code if, and yeah, Visual Studio Code seems to have adapted to that, so I'm not going to bother changing it. Oh yeah, what are we grepping? We're grepping for pass, I think. You know, if pass happens, then I don't know. Let's have some more variables. Whoops, oh dear. That's a bit stupid the way the user interface works here. You know that when the search box comes up, it just moves it down, and it looks like there's empty space above your document, which is not actually there. So they should have changed the color of the header when the control, when the search box comes up. It should have been a different color to distinguish it from the actual text space, because you can't type in the rest of the space. Pretty much. I mean, this is just basic UI considerations. Passes equals 0, fails equals 0, and then just go like passes plus plus fails plus plus output, write the output into a file whose name is this. Yeah, and then at the end of this for loop, just echo if I just type like echo YAH, it does what I want it to do. It treats spaces as I expect it to. This is the thing about Bash, is it treats spaces as literals and as separators, and that's why it's an absolutely abysmal language that I've not bothered to learn how to use. It's just stupid to do that. As a kind of convenience measure on the command line, it's just not worth it. So confusing. So I'm echoing. Yeah, you have to do it like this. Passes. Passes. Fails. Fails. Alright, let's have a look at if this works. So I'm grepping the word pass, and if it succeeds, I increment passes. Alright, so let's do a quick 5 test to see if this works. Output command not found. Okay. I wanna assign it to a variable. So when it's saying output command not found, how then do I assign to a new variable? I think what has to be done is this. I think you're not allowed to have a space after the variable. I think that's what determines. whether it's treated as a variable or not. It's logging everything to standard output, which is a shame. It shouldn't be doing that. What's a good way of doing of suppressing that? So it's run one test, right? That test happened to pass, but then there is a for loop here that's not being respected. If I look in the results folder, oh dear, I need to delete this because I don't know where it's coming from. Let's try this again. It actually seems to have hung for some reason. So I've said like, okay, output equals this thing. Let me also just echo pass here. Echo is I'm using echo literally just to print debug. And for the time being, I'm gonna also output everything, just until I get this to work. I think this is exactly what I'm looking for, this kind of shell script, and it's not going to take me that long to get it working. I think it's very much worth investing a bit of time so that I can have my debugging the way I want it. And then I can debug off stream, I can do everything. As in I can collect data off stream and then go through it on stream, of course, which I think is cool. So still live, yep, camera's still going, mic. Camera's not that good, honestly. It just struggles to focus, even though it's manual focus. And I can't set manual exposure, which means that the focus gets messed up. I said output equals this, but then it didn't really respect that, it just printed it. Okay. Let's check. Bash, store output in variable. I mean, yeah, this should be pretty simple. I'm not even using sed, but it should be the same for anything. Line equals $. Oh, okay, so let's try doing this dollar and then command. Hopefully that works. So it runs this command and then saves it to output. That's the idea of what I'm trying to do here. And then there's an if statement that greps it for pass. Okay, what's happened here? So we've gotten a bit further along in the code. It's not printed the output, but it's read output. But then it's been trying to run this, which is a bit unfortunate. I don't know why it's been doing that. Have I not written grep correctly? Like, the thing that should be being grepped is obviously output. So it runs one test, and then what happens? Same error. I don't want to immediately save it to file, though. I don't want to save it to file before I've ascertained whether it succeeded or failed. So, I'm grepping through output. Surely, when it's telling me no such file or directory, grep through variable. Well, this is the nice thing about basic scripting. You can just Google absolutely everything. Alright, have grep read on its standard input. There you go, using a pipe. Or a here string. Okay, so I don't want to echo. Oh yeah, no, I can echo it. Oh, okay, so I have to basically do this. So if, and then I run a command. And the command I'm running is I echo. This language sucks. It's so bad. I echo output as text. I think the quotation marks mean it's converted to text. And so echo has the text. It prints the standard output unless I pipe it into grep, in which I just, what did it say? It says it's select, because I'm looking up the word select, okay. So I grep pass q. I still think Q should really be here. So I look up the word pass and then see if that succeeds. If yes, just write output down somewhere else. If no, but the thing is, if I can't use this notation. Maybe this is what was failing. I need to access the output variable and write it somewhere, but I need to access it as text. So I think I need to do this notation. In every other language, this means, you know, the bit inside is literal string, but here it means something else. Anyway, doesn't matter. I think this should work. I've made two changes here. I'm not sure if I want to revert the first one because I think this is the one that was causing it to break. I don't know. It doesn't matter. If it works, I'm going to leave it alone. So we run one test. Then what happens? Oh, it's output everything again. Well, it seems to have done something. It's done pass. It's done pass. Yeah, this seems to be working. It's just logging too much crap. Oh, and it's failing. It's completely failing to save to the file. I'm piping the output to the file, but it's not actually working. It's ending up written in the shell itself. Okay, yeah, definitely set n to 1 just for the purpose of debugging. Basically, yeah, it's kind of like okay, let's just, yeah, for simplicity, I've just deleted. I'm only running one test so we can see where it goes wrong. So it says here pass. This notation, it says 0 passes, so this notation is clearly not working. I think it might be this that's supposed to work. Because I want to increment both of these variables, but actually edit them, not just increment and then print to a new variable. But yeah, just before pass happens, this line I think is so if I put in an echo statement here, I can identify what is printing. So I don't want anything to be printing into the console other than what I explicitly say should be printed. So it says here, you know, pass 2, pass 1, plus passes is apparently command not found. Passes equals passes plus 1, I don't care, man. Yep, so it's printing, at this stage, it's printing everything, which is unfortunate, that shouldn't be happening. What I try to do is just pipe output to a file. On the other hand, it's not saving anything to the file. Okay, well, once again, Google is the way to do it. Bash save variable to file. Da 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 da. Echo. Okay, so I have to use echo for some reason. I couldn't tell you why echo rather than like cat or something. That should work. Alright, so .debug.sh. Yeah, that seems to have worked because if I look in here now, everything has been saved to the correct location. Sick. That's it. So this should only be happening in the event of a failure. Now that I know this command works, I can safely put it there. But, okay, the problem I have now is that my, increment a number command is not working. So the most basic shit is hard to do in Bash. Passes and fails are both 0, but I'm trying to just increase them. Bash increments variable plus. This should be easy, surely. Apparently I have to use double brackets to increment my variable. So it's like that. Apparently that works. Does it work? .debug.sh. What a guan. Yeah, it works. One pass. Okay. That's it. I've done what I set out to do. So you can see what I mean when I say Bash script takes me ages to write one, but all it is like a 5 Googles in a row. I don't know. It's not it's just something you have to get used to, and you get used to it by experience. I mean, I had one company they had the audacity to tell me I don't know Linux, but there's nothing to know. There is only experience. You just do by Googling until you find don't need to Google anymore. There's literally nothing to actually know here. Okay, so that's it. Echo pass, echo fail. What does it say here? The semicolon is apparently not legit. Okay, fine. Get rid of the semicolon. It just stops the echo output. Cool. Maybe using quotes would have fixed that, but I don't care. Echo pass and echo fail is also unnecessary. Passes and fails. Looks good. So, okay, let's just run a 10-point test to see if it kind of works. Maybe I should also just delete everything in the results folder before I run the test, but I mean, it's going to overwrite them anyway, so it's just kind of, I don't know, perhaps a convenience. Delete everything in folder, but I don't want to use rmr to do that, do I? Yeah, do you know what? Let's do that. Let's do a remove. Yeah, actually, let me just Google. Let's do that. Bash delete everything in directory. Why not just suggest me a correction here rather than suggesting the rest of the fucking sentence, Google? Google Chrome. So I have to use the F flag in order for it to not ask me if I want to delete things. To remove all the contents of the folder, including all interior folders, but not the folder itself, I want to do this. Alright, I'm gonna, for safety, not put in the force in the first instance, just to make sure it's doing the right thing. So remove that. Recursion is not necessary because I don't have any subdirectories. So let's just put in path to directory. Here it is, and so I have the star, which denotes deleting everything inside the folder. Debug.debug.sh, so here we go. No such file or directory. How is that? There is a results folder, it has nothing in it. Oh, okay, can't delete anything because there's nothing in there. Maybe I should, I don't know. Save that, run the debug, and then just run it as a separate command afterwards, the deletion. Well, I mean, I can still run the deletion at the beginning. I just don't want to bother with the if statement that checks if the thing is in there in the first place. I just want to make sure that I'm always doing at least one test, and so they're all always be a file. Oh, but there's not necessarily always going to be a file anyway, because I'm only saving failures. Oh, but if I'm only saving failures, I don't need to delete shit. Okay. Well, that resolved itself. Okay, good. That's fine. Wait for this to finish. I'm running 10 tests that take 4 seconds each, so it'll take about 40, I don't know, 2 seconds. And then I'll just leaf through my results folder. 10 passes, 0 fails, okay, and that means that nothing got saved. That's what I mean, so that's how I can do stress tests, right? I can, test equals 2b2, and then I can also just go like, I can like do this kind of thing, 2b1 is a really fast test, so it's a good way of demonstrating what I'm talking about. So I now have this variable at the top. Let me put it literally at the top, which just tells me which test I want to run. This only runs one test, but I mean, it only runs one command. That's what I really want to say. So yeah, I think that's reasonable because then I can parallelize. I can like run all of the tests that kind of fail sometimes individually, fix those, and then test everything at the end with some big ass stress test. That kind of thing. Yeah, I guess. So yeah, I can test 100 times now, and I will. I'll be doing that. Yeah, I'll get what I'll do off stream is I'll get up like every damn test, and run it 100 times by doing this method. Um, and then I will have individual tests logged and ready for me to save them and look over them in my own time. So I'm just basically collecting data without editing my program, without doing anything other than just running this script in the background. I will assemble debug output that allows me to find the bugs in these tests that only appear every now and again. That's the idea of this. Very nice, simple shell script. Well, we do have one that always fails, namely, test 2C6 and onwards probably. So we'll be debugging those the way we've been debugging everything else as normal, just get one piece of output. And I mean, I could use this in order to generate my output if I want to. Let's just say we do n less than 1, so just a single attempt at testing this is going to fail after about 40 seconds, I think. There's one test, yeah, this test is the one that fails after 40 seconds, but then there's one that indefinitely hangs, which is slightly dodgy, but I don't know. But yeah, just as a general point, it's cool that I can now stress test the other tests as well. Ah, my god, sorry. I want 2C6, not 2B6. I'm like, what? My test passed? You what, fam? Yeah, I'm pretty sure if a test fails, the word pass does not come up in the output. And a way that we can definitely test that is because I know that this test fails, so it should definitely give me a 0 passes, 1 fails after running this one. So testing my own shell scripts, which is always good as well. Yeah, cool. That about wraps up what I wanted to do today, to be honest. Well, not entirely. There is one more thing I wanted to do, which is take a closer look at this test that fails. I don't want to properly debug it because I'm lazy today, but I do want to just get some information about what is being tested. See, it works. 0 passes, 1 fail. Oh shit! Sorry. I just remembered I'm blocking the screen slightly. That's something I noticed in my previous stream, but I don't know how it even happened that this bar moved. I was probably just doing something else on a different day. So sorry, I mean, you wouldn't have seen most of the shell outputs just on the left, but there's nothing to see. It was just logging a bunch of unnecessary crap and not logging what I wanted it to log. but it works now, and it's just minor. But I'm just annoyed with myself because this is a kind of assertion that I need to check, that everything is to the right of the Cortana box, so that it's visible on the stream. Never mind, we all make mistakes. I think I've done a pretty good job with the stream overall, so shouldn't be too hard on myself. So yeah, basically, one fails and that gets saved. I'm an idiot. Sorry, this shouldn't be 2B2. This should be $test because I changed it. $test $n. But yeah, basically this is a failed attempt at 2C6. Let me rename it accordingly. And yeah, I don't know why this fails. It just fails for some reason. This is a huge test though. This is unreliable figure 8, and I don't know what figure 8 is. Wow, look at this. So much data is processed by this test. That's crazy. But they've committed literally one. Well, no, actually, they've committed 394, most of them. It's just this one. These other two have only committed one. And then it says fails to reach agreement on not the first variable, but like one of the variables somewhere in here. Fair, yeah, okay. So that's going to be the kind of fun shit that I'm going to be debugging in the future. I don't know what the hell figure 8 is. So I'm going to find out now. And that'll be the last thing I do today. I want to get off the stream. I'll be doing some offline testing. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to run, for each of the tests that supposedly passes so far, I'm going to run the test literally 100 times. Just in the background. In fact, you know what? I'm going to run it 200 times. So we can have a kind of fairly accurate percentage of how many times it actually passes and fails. So every single test is I'm gonna basically load up 14 command windows and run 14 tests. Oh, do you know what? Actually, I can do this. I just remembered. Instead of test equals 2C6, I can just go test equals $1. $0, in fact. And $0 is bash arguments variables, right? So it'll say here, positional parameters are a series of special variables that contain the contents of the command line. So let's just make sure we get the convention exactly right. Yeah, it says here $0 would contain some program, $1 would contain the first input. I don't think dot counts as a variable, but this counts as a name. Sorry, as a name, but this counts as a name, and so I think we want test to be $1. So in principle now I should be able to type debug.sh 2a1 like that, and it should just work. Yep. In fact, to make absolutely certain that it works, I'm gonna go with what do I want? I want dollar. Yeah, I don't even need tests, but I like having variables that are named nicely. So if it says test equals $1 at the beginning, I'm totally cool with that. So I'm saying, test. Is this putting the colon there? Is that treated as literal? I think it is, which is pretty convenient if you think about it. Yeah, it is treated as literal. So I can actually just write like this. Oh, okay. I understand. I understand this stupid literal notation a bit better now. It's the same as the JavaScript prime notation, where you can substitute text in using the $sign. Is it the $sign as well in JavaScript? I think it is. Literally the $sign. So dollar escapes text literalness, but JavaScript has dollar curly brace, whereas this just has dollar and then words that apparently stop because space. So I'm still, not happy that this is a sensible literal convention, but I'm not bothered either. Yeah, so this kind of thing. And so I'm just going to run .debug.sh in 14 different windows on 14 different tests. And everything is getting saved, to a file that has the files have literally, they have, what am I saying? They have, I lost my train of thought, sorry. The files have the name of the test in them, so they're not going to collide with each other. That's what I was saying. There is the risk of collision if you get a failure repeatedly on the same test, then it overwrites. But that's why between running this script, you should just rename anything you want to keep so it doesn't get overwritten. Easy. Yeah, I told you that's it. I'm done with that. So okay, while this is, I don't know, doing something, let's just investigate what figure eight is, because that's the thing that I wanted to find out about just before I finish up with the stream. Alright, what's happened here? 0 passes, 1 fails, and you can see 2 C6. So the test has been noted, and then I have a hyphen with 0 saying, okay, this instance failed. Here's the log. Perfect. Literally everything works exactly as I want it to. That's really about the best that I could have hoped for. Other than, running the same script. I could do a script that runs this script for like 10 files but that would be executed sequentially, whereas if I want to parallelize, then yeah, it's not such a big deal. Just having .debug.sh run once, and then I could, if I want to, make another script that runs debug on 10 different things sequentially. But then I need one file per console window, i.e. one file per process, so that I can parallelize the tests using different instances of Raft. That's cool. That's easy. Alright, so I think that's it then. With this, I will, like I said, every test that passes so far, I will just debug it 200 times using the stress testing method. And we'll see if we can analyze. We'll basically just get to save a bit of, the rare cases of failure. We'll be able to save them and look at them whenever we want to. So do we want to look at those tests that failed? Or do we want to look at the tests that are consistently failing, like the last 3 tests? Because I'm going to debug the 17 tests. The first 14 pass 90% of the time. I'll stress test those this way. But the other 3 fail all the time, I think. So I can just randomly test them at any time and look through the outputs. And we get to decide what we're going to do next time. I imagine I'll start with, because the tests are so complicated, the late tests. I think I will start with trying to fix the early tests, because I understand the tests better, if anything. So it kind of makes sense to just find that sporadic failure case and see if you can take that and possibly fix. I don't know, maybe I'm optimistic, but I'm hoping that if I repair the problem that caused that, then maybe it will pass the future tests as well. And then I'll just rerun the stress test as well and see how it goes. That's my thinking. That's the stuff I'm going to be doing next sesh. Okay, cool. So, we have a plan. Let's commit this out. Actually, let me not commit yet, because, yeah, like I said, the one last thing I want to do in this particular stream is I want to just read through the blueprint and see if I can figure out what figure 8 means, because it says it in the name of the test. Not just the blueprint, but also the test file itself. So, this thing, like, the test thing, look up this 2C6 test, which is the one that has figure 8 in it, or one of the ones that has figure 8 in it. Actually, one of the figure 8 tests literally passes. Fun fact. So one of my tests that always passes, or often passes, is another figure 8 test. Test the scenarios described in Figure 8 of the extended Raft paper. Each iteration asks the leader, if there is one, to insert a command in the Raft log. If there is a leader, that leader will fail quickly with a high probability, perhaps without committing the command, or crash after a while with low probability, most likely committing the command. This is such an obtuse test. If the number of alive servers isn't enough to form a majority, perhaps start a new server. What? Wow, okay. Dear Lord. The leader in a new term may try to finish replicating log entries that haven't been committed yet. This is crazy. Is it actually seriously saying perhaps start a new server entirely? That's crazy. I didn't think I'd have to deal with that. That's mad. Total madness. Hang on, just a sec, let me shout something at my mum who's just come back. Ah, fuck it, she can't hear me. What a fucking swat. We agreed for her not to open the window and she opened it. Alright, camera, microphone, live. Okay, sick. Yeah, I did not think I would have to deal with a new server. That's a bit gooky. Who knows? Okay, never mind. Let me just, well, let me look through Figure 8 in the Raft paper. I think that's kind of necessary at this point. Notice also how none of the other tests have comments on them at all. I guess, yeah, that was where it was trying to explain what it means by Figure 8, so it makes sense that there are comments there, but there are no comments on any of the other tests. None of the other individual tests. You know, except this massive paragraph. So we have that, and then we have like, okay, unreliable agree, unreliable Figure 8, and then churn. I don't know what churn is. Look at this. It picks out, you know, a value smaller than the election timeout, but not hugely smaller. How does it detect the election timeout? I haven't told it what variable I'm using. That's crazy. 0.7 times the madness. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't say what churn means, but my camera might. Yeah, it doesn't say what churn means, but I'm not that bothered about that. What shall I do? Yeah, look at Figure 8 in the paper. This is Figure 2. Oh yeah, I need the entire paper. I've excerpted Figure 2, but it's telling me to look at Figure 8, so let's do that. Labs 2, paper, click. Alright, let's find Figure 8. In search of an understandable consensus algorithm. Is Figure 2 all the way at the beginning of this paper? It pretty much is, yeah. The entire specification is just right there. This is Figure 2. We've seen this so many times. Alright, let's have a look at Figure 8. So it's basically testing, you know, it's testing my code against this. Proof of concept, why can leader not determine committing using log entries from older terms? So it's a proof of concept of some sort, and that is what's getting tested, I guess, by Figure 8. But the trouble with Figure 8 is it's passing. It's just unreliable Figure 8 that's failing, and that's a double test, so it's both unreliable and Figure 8, if you see what I mean. It's going to be hard to isolate what the problem is from a test that tests two things at the same time, but individually both of those things seem to pass. So there's a kind of interface between these two things, problem, or something. Who knows? I don't know what to say, to be honest. Shall we... I don't want to explicitly read through this yet. I'm just gonna leave it for the time being, and get on with my day. Come back on Saturday with some debug stuff. But if I decide to look at figure eight, I am just gonna save a copy of figure eight in my scrap folder so that I can just look it up quickly later on. Okay, what I will also do is just skim read it so I can start thinking about what could be going wrong. So yeah, a time sequence showing why a leader cannot determine commitment using log entries from all the terms. So we're in A, first of all. S1, server 1 is leader and partially replicates the log entry at index 2. See, it's made it to S2, but no one else. In B, S1 has crashed, S5 has elected leader for term 3. Why term 3? I guess the number 3 here is corresponding to the term as well as the data. I don't know, it doesn't matter too much. With votes from S3 and S4 and itself. So, these think that this is their leader now. And accepts a different entry at log index 2. In C, S5 also crashes, S1 restarts, is elected leader and continues replication. So this has not managed to replicate to anyone else. Cool. So S1 just continues. At this point, the log entry from term 2 has been replicated to a majority of the servers, but it is not committed. Ooh, okay. Well, it would be committed if we allowed time to progress slightly further. On the other hand, S1 crashes in D. S5 could be elected leader, with votes from 2, 3, and 4, and override the entry with its own entry from term 3, yes, because there hasn't been a commit of this. It doesn't say what term S1 has. I think it has term 4. But, S1 crashed. S1 got elected leader without communicating to pretty much anyone. Oh, it managed to communicate with server 3. Which is interesting, I don't know. S1 crashes in DS5 elected leader with those 3 voting for it because it increments term, and override the entry with its own entry from term 3. However, if S1 replicates an entry from its current term on a majority of the servers before crashing, so this is outcome E, from here we can have both this and this. Or does that look like or? Yeah, close enough. I wonder if I'll be able to read that later. Probably will. I think I'll be okay. But yeah, if S1 replicates an entry from its current term to a majority of servers before crashing, as in E, then this entry is committed and S5 cannot win an election. Yeah, because the logs have this new entry in them. At this point, all preceding entries in the log are committed as well. What point is this trying to make? Do you see figure 8 referenced anywhere? Here. An old log entry is stored on a majority of servers, yet can still be overwritten by a future leader. To eliminate problems like the one in figure 8, Raft never commits log entries from previous terms by counting replicas. Only log entries from the leader's current term are committed by counting replicas. Once an entry from the current term has been committed in this way, then all prior entries are committed indirectly because of the log matching property. Yeah, without going into too much detail of why this works, I don't think it's that instructive to care. It's just kind of well, the question is, do we feel like we kind of understand what the process is here and what the outcomes are supposed to be? I'm not completely tight with what the election terms are. I think the numbers are the election terms rather than the data. Although I'm not fully sure whether it even makes a difference. But yeah, I mean, this works pretty much as I anticipated it would work, right? We're at this stop. at this step, sorry. And then depending on whether the leader fails or doesn't fail, if it doesn't fail, then 4 is coming out. If it fails, then 3 is coming out. Because, S1 didn't manage to communicate before sending out this data, so nobody knows the election term increased. And so S2, S3, and S4 validates S5 as being the leader. Well, I mean, S5 crashed, so actually, no, they think S1 is the leader, but then they drop that. They re-elect S5 the leader, but then S5's log has something from term 3 in it. I'm confused, and I'm really not feeling like breaking this down. What I'm going to do is just come back to it again, and yeah, I think it will be worth going through this in the sense of literally going through it step by step according to my algorithm, and the theory of what should happen and the practice of what does happen in my algorithm according to my understanding of my algorithm. So yeah, figure eights. This particular, it's not just a thought experiment. It's actually tested for. So I got to get this right. I'll do that. I'll go through the theory and I'll go through my actual code and see if I can figure out slowly. It might take like half an hour, but I'll see if I can figure out what's supposed to happen, what does happen. Yeah, pretty much. And I might also go through the parsing test, which is test 5 of part C, which does figure 8 reliably. Yeah, okay. Fine. That gives me a plan for what to do. So I'll just come back to this when I'm feeling a bit better, I guess. Alright, so that's it. Nothing more to say for today. I like how the fan turned off just as I said that, as if I'm just winding down. Alright, so sessions, right? I can't even remember when my previous session was now. It's been a few days. I haven't been up to date with VODs, but I haven't deemed it that important to keep up. I think now that I've done this one, I'll probably go back and update them all. But, fans back. So that's fine. I'll have all the VODs up to date by the time, I do the next session, which is going to be Saturday evening. So 2.5 days from now. Reason being, tomorrow I'm busy going out in the evening. And also I just want to recover a bit more and get everything else in my life scheduled and kind of planned, because I've just been living kind of from moment to moment and it's not really been working out. Motivation to go to sleep and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to try to put that right. And so give myself a Saturday 9 p.m. to get in the mindset of sitting down, debugging, and understanding this crazy ass process, the figure 8 stuff, all that stuff. So that's what I'm gonna do. Saturday 9 p.m. I'll be back, and then hopefully I'll have momentum and I'll just be bang them out. Sunday daytime I'm busy again. Sunday 9 p.m. I'll be busy as well. Fucking hell, Monday I might have a slot. I should have a slot definitely Monday if I don't on Sunday, and then just get some momentum going. Do a big session on Saturday, I think, just to get in the mindset. Alright, sick. That's pretty much it. That's all I want to say for today. That's it. So I'm just continuing doing my stress tests and mentally preparing myself for dealing with this figure 8 theory, this test, and all the new tests that I've been failing, and debugging those because they look pretty hardcore to me. Okay. Sick. See you Saturday at 9 p.m. Peace out.